Hey everyone, it's Chelsea from Painted Layers, PDF sewing patterns and tutorials. In this video, I have another upcycle project for you. What we are going to do is make a mermaid skirt. It's going to be a casual type of maxi mermaid skirt that I think you're really going to like. And what we're going to use is we have this raspberry color wrap dress. It's an Ann Taylor size 16. So we're going to take this wrap dress and we're going to use this for our mermaid skirt. It's got a little bit of stretch in it, so it's going to be really great for this project. So we're starting with this oversized wrap dress that we found at the thrift store. I really loved this raspberry color and the fabric was stretchy, so it was great for this project. It ended up being just enough fabric to create the mermaid skirt. So let's head over to Pinterest first to start with our inspiration board. And if you're not following me on Pinterest, please go ahead and follow me on there, pinterest.com/paintedlayersstudio. So I found some pictures that were westerny and had this raspberry color and things that are kind of mermaid inspired. I think this vintage thread is so beautiful, and check out this old pink sewing machine, so adorable. So start by cutting out the bigger pieces of fabric from the dress. Just use some fabric scissors and go ahead and cut apart the seams of the dress. And then I'm taking my pattern and I'm just going to cut that out on the fold, a front piece and a back piece with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then you want to place your front and back piece right sides together and go ahead and clip or pin along those sides. And we're using a serger for this project. A serger works a lot better for knit fabrics, so I recommend using your serger if you have one when working with knits. And we just take our serger and serge the side seams, giving our 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that just means I'm sewing 1/4 from the edge of the fabric, and that's the amount of fabric that my knife is cutting off. So I do this to both sides. And now when the seams are serged, the skirt should look like this. And now I'm going to take the excess fabric and I'm going to create a waistband. I wanted this to be a thin, about 1 inch waistband, so we're using 1 inch elastic for this as well. So take your fabric and put it right sides together, and then grab your ruler and disappearing ink pen. And we're going to mark the width of the top of the skirt, and we're going to use that measurement for the width of our band. And you will want to add a 1/4 inch to both sides of this measurement because the band is going to be serged on both sides. So I just drew a rectangle with those dimensions, and then I used my ruler and rotary cutter to cut out 2 rectangle pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and serge both sides. That's why I added a 1/4 inch seam allowance to both sides here. Then I'm going to turn the band inside out so that those serge seams are showing. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the top of the skirt here. And you want to make sure that you line up your side seams so that those look even. And I'm just clipping it around the top of the skirt. And my skirt is right side out. Okay, so now I'm going to serge around the tops to attach this band. Place it on your serger like this. You have the raw edge going to the left side, and on the right you're going to serge those 2 layers together. And make sure that you're using a stretch needle for this. So after the band is attached, you just want to fold it down to the inside so that it lines up with that band seam. And then we're going to sew around on top of the band along that seam. So the stitches are going to be hidden in the seam. And we're going to do this to create a casing for the elastic. So you want to sew around and leave a gap about 1 inch where you can insert your elastic. I'm working on the right side of the garment here so that my stitches can be really clean. And I made my band measurement so it will overlap that band seam. So when I fold it under, it should be long enough to extend past that band seam, which will allow me to sew it without looking on the back side. So go ahead and stitch along that seam so that your stitches are nice and clean. Now you can use a bodkin or a safety pin and put that on the end of your elastic and use this to thread the elastic through the band. Like I said, the elastic here is going to be 1 inch, and that's going to give us that nice 1 inch waistband. So once I got the elastic through, I tried on this skirt and then I marked the elastic so that it'll fit me snugly around the hips. And once I made that mark, I just put the ends of the elastic together and did a zigzag stitch. And now you can see here we have left that gap for the band, and I'm just going to fold it down. Try to stay in line with your other stitches and just stitch across that gap. Okay, now to make the ruffle. So for the ruffle, we're just going to take a rectangular piece and fold it together. And then I'm going to serge it along one end to create a loop. And now we want to gather the top of this ruffle piece. So what you can do is stitch 2 straight stitch lines across the top. And in order to make it a gathering stitch, you just don't back stitch. And that will leave the stitches loose so that you can pull it and create a gather. And we want to gather this so that it'll be even and fit around the bottom of the skirt here. And once I pulled and adjusted and ruffled so that it matches the bottom of the skirt, I can take the ruffle and put it around the bottom of the skirt like this. And my skirt's going to be right side out and the ruffle is going to be inside out. And then I just want to go ahead and clip around the bottom edge. I'm going to kind of pull it here and make sure that it's even and there aren't any gaps. And if there are gaps, a great thing about the ruffle is I can just kind of adjust it so that it fits perfectly around the bottom of the skirt. So now we're going to attach the ruffle, and when we attach the ruffle, we're going to add a 1/4 inch elastic to the seams. So I just stick it on, and the serger thread is just going to go right on top of the elastic and the other 2 layers. And then as I sew, I'm stretching it slightly. Okay, and now the ruffle is attached. It kind of looks like this on the inside, and the elastic will give you extra stretch and adds a little bit more ruffle as well. And you can see with the serger how it covers the elastic. So the last step here is to hem the skirt. So what I did was I just serged around the bottom, and then I took a seam gauge and just folded it up about 1/2 inch. Then I took my stretch needle and I just stitched along the serge edge, and that gives us an easy hem for knits. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more sewing tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this pattern, you can find it over on my website, paintedlayerstudio.com. You can also find it in my Etsy shop that will be linked below. Thanks for watching, happy sewing, and I'll see you in the next video.